How my entitled aunt and cousin ruined my 10th birthday. So my aunt, which is my dad's sister, has always been the textbook entitled tramp. When I was a kid, she never missed an opportunity to make me feel like garbage. From thinly veiled insults to outright verbal and emotional abuse, she threw what she could at me in an attempt to break me. Of course, the disgust she felt for me and the faults she found in my dad's parenting never stopped her from mooching stuff off of him or asking him for favors without ever giving anything in return. She and her husband considered their son to be a gift from the heavens, and he too grew up to be a narcissistic bully who loved to torment me, even though I was 7 years younger than him. My mum passed away when I was 1 year old, and both my someone and grandmother had been abusive to her as well. But that is another tale for another time. This is about the time she, along with her son, ruined my 10th birthday. This incident resulted in me being put off of birthdays and deciding to never celebrate them again. I just couldn't see them as a cause for celebration. My entire extended family, which included the said auntie, uncle, and cousin, along with some other relatives, were at our house, and my dad and stepmom had gone out to run some errands. My cousin had invited some of his friends over, even though my dad and stepmom didn't know them. My dad allowed them to come after my aunt whined incessantly about how her son would be bored if his friends were not there. I remember sitting in my room and playing with my dogs. I knew my cousin would be down there, and I usually did what I could to avoid him. At that time, I suffered from a pretty bad stutter, and when I was upset or angry, it only got worse. This is something my cousin loved to make fun of, and of course, my birthday would be no different. He demanded that I come downstairs to talk to his friends. When I refused, his mother told me to stop being rude and do as I was told. I was a powerless kid, so I really had no other choice. I went down to the living room and my cousin introduced me to his buddies in his usual condescending way, as the birthday girl. He handed me a novel and told me to read out loud. I tried to read properly, but failed. I was surrounded with judgmental stares and it made me nervous. I stuttered, which is exactly what my cousin was hoping for. He and his friends began to snicker. I got angry and stopped reading. My cousin called me a freak. His friends looked at me as though I was on display at a zoo exhibit. I wanted to prove them wrong, that I was not a freak, that I could read. I tried reading again. This time, on account of me being angry, the stutter was much worse. My cousin decided to mock my stutter, and all but one of his friends roared with laughter. The one that didn't actually noticed my tears and told the others to knock it off. He asked if I was okay. My cousin told him not to bother. It's just a joke and that I was just an oversensitive baby. My rage was boiling over and I threw the book at my cousin's face and stomped out. My aunt had seen what had happened and decided to pull me by my hair and drag me back to the living room. She told me to apologize to my cousin. I refused. She told me I needed to be taught a lesson for being a brat. I tried to tell her what happened. She chuckled and said, "So what? He's your cousin and he's older than you. You need to respect him. Now apologize." I refused again, this time with a, "No, I hate you. I hate all of you." All the while crying and shaking with anger. This didn't sit well with Aunt, and she slapped me before asking why I didn't just die in the womb. She told me I was a troublemaker just like my mother had been, that she knew the day I was born that there was something wrong with me, that an evil tramp like my mother couldn't possibly produce a normal kid. This was it. I balled up my fist and connected it to my auntie's face. I punched that tramp so hard that I busted her lip. By now, all the other relatives had heard the commotion and had gathered in the living room. The moment my fist connected with my aunt is when my dad and stepmom walked in through the front door. The aunt started fake crying. She berated my father for not raising me right and went on and on about how I was a violent, ill-mannered brat, etc., etc., etc. The other relatives too expressed their disappointment in me. My dad asked me what the hell I thought I was doing. I tried to tell him what my cousin had done and what my aunt had said about my mother. Unfortunately, my stutter reared its ugly head again, and all that came out of my mouth was gibberish. My tears were flowing again. In the meantime, my cousin had decided to take all his friends and bail. I was now punished for my beastly conduct. My birthday celebration was cancelled. My dad called my friends and asked them not to come over. I didn't cut any cake. The presents I was to receive from my parents were stocked away. I was banished to my room and stayed there for the rest of the day. I ate lunch and dinner alone. The next morning, no one spoke to me. I was given my breakfast platter, which I ate in my room. That afternoon, my cousin's friend, the one who had told him to stop bullying me, came over. He told my dad what my cousin had done and what my auntie had said. My dad sat me down and apologized to me, but added that it was still wrong of me to punch my auntie. I just sat there silently. I was emotionally numb. My dad kept telling me he loved me and that he was sorry. I just coldly stared at him. My stepmom suggested a belated birthday celebration. I refused. I told them that I didn't want a birthday party and that I wouldn't celebrate my birthday ever again. I kept my word. Every year since that day, my parents would ask me what I wanted for my birthday, and I always replied, nothing at all. I would ask them not to get any cakes and not to invite any guests. The day I was born now meant nothing to me. Even now, after all of these years, I don't celebrate my birthday. Instead, I celebrate the day I landed the job that enabled me to move away from my family and start a new life. I consider it the day of my rebirth. It was the day I was able to leave all the pain and anger behind and could plan for a life that I would live on my own terms. My aunt and uncle's crappy parenting ended up costing them dearly. If you want to know what became of them, do let me know in the comments. It is pretty satisfying. Thank you for reading. Edit. I want to thank all of you for your kind words. I'm sorry I can't reply to each and every comment, but please know that your support means a lot to me. You people are amazing. I'll be posting my aunt and uncle's downfall within the next 24 hours. Stay tuned. And here is that said post by Shy Girl Turned Sassy, titled, How My Entitled Aunt and Uncle's Crappy Parenting Came Back to Bite Them in the Behind. This is the story of the downfall of my aunt and uncle. My aunt, which is my dad's older sister, has always doted on her son. I'm Indian, and in my country, son preference is a pervasive social disease. Most people, regardless of their social status, religion, etc., place great value in their sons, and their daughters are seen as a burden on the family. My daughter was no exception. Ever since she was a kid, she had this messed up, one-sided competition with my dad. I, a woman, am my dad's only child. This gave her an opportunity to constantly make passive-aggressive remarks that my dad was so unfortunate to have a daughter, his line would end with him, etc., etc. She and her husband spoiled their son to the point that he became a narcissistic bully. He would often mock my stutter, cheat on his girlfriends, and make unreasonable demands of his parents. But did they ever try to discipline him or say no to him? Of course not. Their prince could do no wrong. If he made fun of my stutter, I was a piece of trash who deserved it. If he cheated on his girlfriend, she must have neglected him. If he made sexist remarks about his female boss, well, he's a man. You get the picture. Years went by and he just kept getting worse. When he was living with them, he at least pretended to respect them. But when he landed a very high-paying job and was able to move out, it was as if he forgot they even existed. He and his wife hardly ever spoke to them. By now, my uncle had retired. My aunt had never worked. They had very little money left as they had spent it all on their son. They had paid for his education, his vacations, his wedding. Now, they barely had enough to put food on the table. My dad would help them as much as he could. In 2011, my cousin's wife became pregnant, and during her third trimester, my cousin asked his parents to move in with him and his wife. We all knew it was because they wanted free caretakers for the baby, but my aunt just couldn't shut up about how wonderful her son was for wanting to take care of his parents. By now, I was well established in my field and was looking forward to a successful career. She taunted my father one last time, saying my education and career would be of no use as I was just a daughter, and could never take care of him the way her son would take care of her. My dad just smiled and wished her well. She and her husband moved to my cousins, who lived in another city's place. My dad would often receive calls and texts from her bragging about what a great life they had. She sounded a bit too chipper. My dad began to suspect that all was not right. About 6 months after they had left, my dad said he was going to visit them as he was getting worried about his sister. He asked me and my stepmom to accompany him. We reluctantly agreed. We arrive at their place, and it is truly stunning. A luxurious home in a posh locality. This was no surprise, as my cousin is very successful. What did shock us was the way he was treating his parents. They were practically servants in his house. My aunt tended to the baby, cooked and cleaned. My uncle tended to the gardens, took care of the cars, and went grocery shopping, etc. My cousin could easily afford maids and drivers, etc., but why would he when his parents were now his free slaves? What was even worse was the way that he treated them. My cousin-in-law would often yell at my aunt and would just order her around. My uncle had this vacant and defeated look in his eyes. I had never liked him, but couldn't help but feel a tinge of pity. My dad took my aunt aside and told her she didn't have to live like this, that he could make arrangements for her and her husband. My aunt put on a fake smile and said, "Nonsense, we couldn't be happier." Any time my cousin or his wife said something cruel to her or told her to shut up when she tried to make conversation, my aunt would put on a smile and act as though it was just the sweetest thing anyone had ever said to her. It would have been funny had it not been so pitiful. Memories of all the horrible things she had said and done to me and my dad were still fresh in my mind, and the schadenfreude was real. My aunt's fake, rueful smiles and the way she tried to cover up how her son was really treating her is the cringiest thing I have ever seen. My aunt and uncle often stressed the importance of having a male heir. They claimed that their son would be their provider while I, a daughter, would be a burden till the day I was married off. Surprise, surprise, the exact opposite has happened. While they were basically slaves in their son's house, I am unmarried, have a loving partner, wonderful pets and friends, and a great career. My dad has his own restaurant and seems very happy with his work. Entitled parents often assume that their kid can be a jerk to everyone else, but would never do that to them. Boy, are they in for a shock. Edit. My cousin has not completely escaped karma either. A few months ago, he got fired from his job, and his boss at his new place of employment is his ex-girlfriend whom he cheated on and dumped. All because he didn't like the fact that she was more successful than him. She's a wonderful person and won't misuse her power, but I'm sure working under his ex is eating my cousin alive. And our next story was posted by user Sickalax, titled, "You're disabled, you shouldn't be at the front of the line." Okay, so I was at Alton Towers where I was in the disabled line. For some context, I'm not good with crowds as I have Asperger's and cannot handle waiting in lines. So when I get to Alton Towers, I get a wristband that allows me to script to the front of the line. Sorry about any errors in spelling, I'm on mobile and am just bad at English. So, to this story. I am waiting in the disabled line for the latest ride, the Wickerman. The disabled line is a bit long, as it is the newest line, but I was fine until the entitled mother comes up with no wristband and goes to the back of the line with her son, entitled kid. So we don't question it and wait until we get to the front of the line. Entitled mother gets to the front of the line also. The operator asked entitled mother for her son to show his wristband. She says, "What wristband? We didn't know about a wristband. Can you just let us go?" The operator says, "No wristband, no entry. Get to the normal line." She then goes, "Just let us pass. We want to get on the ride." He said, "No, get out." I'm getting slightly annoyed from the noise, but stay quiet as I am way too much of a wimp to say anything until she says, "But he shouldn't be on the ride anyway. He's not disabled. He's not in a chair or anything. He should leave, and you should let me on as my kid has anxiety, and he should go on without going through this line." Now, I am really ticked, so I finally explode and yell at her. "I am disabled, but if stupidity was a disability, you would be the most disabled person in the world." So she yells at me, "Go away, you artard. You shouldn't be here anyway. You should go home and F off." The operator then tells her that she has to leave or he will be forced to call the police. So she huffed and left. Not really a crazy ending like the normal stories, but I'm bored and have nothing to do, so I thought I would put this here. And our next story was posted by user Frosty the Salty Bean, titled, "Entitled Dad says, I can't have a Joker t-shirt because I am a girl." Just a little background, because I know everyone hates it, haha. So I am quite a tomboy, being interested in typical boy stuff. So I sometimes tend to get some of my t-shirts in the men's section because the prints are more fun. I mean, a shirt with a large print of Ezio on it is so much better than a hoodie covered in flowers. At least that's my opinion. Also, clothes meant for women are often pretty tight, and I am very conscious about my weight. I'd prefer it if people were not forced to look at my 4 rolls of fat at the moment they see me. Don't get me wrong, I do love a nice dress, but I am just as comfortable in an oversized hoodie. So, today my parents finally convinced me to go shopping for clothes, since the last time had been 3 months ago. I hate it so much, really. In the store, I saw an amazing black t-shirt with Heath Ledger's Joker on it, and I absolutely love The Dark Knight. So for a moment, I was the happiest girl on earth. I think it's worth mentioning that this was the last one they had in small fit, but then, enter the entitled dad with his actually pretty nice son. I had grabbed the t-shirt a few minutes before, and went on looking for some more nice clothes in the men's section of the store, where I also got the Joker t-shirt from, when I suddenly felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned around and looked right into the face of the entitled dad, a bit too close in my personal space. "Oh, can I help you?" I asked, kinda nervous, as I'm not really good with social interactions. And by the way, I don't remember every literal word from the conversation since I got a small panic attack there, so some things may have been slightly different, especially the part where entitled dad gets his rage attack. I also had to translate a whole lot of stuff. "Yes," entitled dad said. "I noticed that shirt you've got there." "Yeah," I slightly nod. "I like it too." "Give it to me." This came as quite a shock, and the first thing I wanted to do was get the hell out of there. I shook my head, confused. "I'm sorry, but why would I give it to you?" "Because this is the last one, and my son really needs it," entitled dad replied. "No, sorry." I absolutely had no clue what to do. "As you said, it is the last one, and I got it first." At this point, entitled dad just tried to pull it out of my hands, but I jerked it away just in time. Then, entitled dad's voice became threatening. "Give it to me, you little crap." "No," I called out. "I am not giving it to you." Then, I heard the kid speak for the first time. "Dad, please stop it. There are plenty of other clothes left." I was quite surprised, as I had expected the boy to be just like his father. But entitled dad just ignored him and stared me straight in the face. "I am an adult, and I am telling you to give that shirt to me. And besides, you are a girl, so you're not even allowed to be here. For the last time, I'm not giving you the shirt. Maybe if you asked nicely, I would have agreed, but you didn't." I turned around to walk away, done with this. But, of course, that wasn't the end of it. Entitled dad just tried to pull the shirt out of my hands, and my arm came into a very painful position, so I let out a small scream of pain. Luckily, it was hard enough to be heard by one of the security guards, who came our way right away. Security guard, may I ask what is going on here? Now, you'd expect entitled dad to go all lying about how I stole the shirt from his son and that I should be arrested. But no, the nice kid was faster. My dad tried to take the t-shirt from that girl even after she refused, he said. I casted a very grateful smile at him and nodded, yes sir. Entitled dad's face turned red with fury and his tirade of words began. This bee shouldn't even be allowed here. She's a damn girl, so she can't wear men's clothes. She should wear dresses and skirts, not clothing with superheroes. I demand this girl gets removed from this goddamn store immediately and give the shirt to me. I'll spare you the rest. After that, everything happened very quickly. He got dragged away, and I don't think he got arrested though, just kicked from the store, and his son apologized to me. I could tell he experienced this often. I feel bad for him. I got a discount on my shirt, and now I am sitting on the couch holding a Christopher Nolan marathon, wearing my brand new troublemaking t-shirt. I still love it though. Edit. For all of you saying this story is hella fake, just keep thinking that. I don't mind. The conversation may have happened a bit differently, as I have major social anxiety and already panic by the slightest interaction and may not remember every word, but it certainly is along these lines. But go ahead, I won't stop you. Our next story was posted by user Half Goddess Half Hell, titled, Entitled Mother-in-Law Didn't Show Up to Our Wedding. I'll keep it short and sweet because it's almost been a year since my husband and I got married. Found this subreddit and decided to share our story. I'm on mobile, so please excuse any spelling mistakes. A little backstory. My husband and I have been best friends since middle school. We officially went out in the 8th grade, but his entitled mother couldn't stand another woman having his attention. He is the baby of the family. So she told him to break up with me and disobedient kids go to hell. She's very religious. He was emotionally manipulated since then, and it ended when we got married. My husband has always been obedient to his parents, never rebelled, grew up singing in church, and always helped out at home. Entitled mother always got her way and is a show-off to her brothers and sisters because she'll emotionally manipulate my now husband to buy her designer things. Not gonna lie, he makes great money and has worked his way up in this company. He gets it for her because he believed he's a bad son for not complying. He paid for 90% of her bills, bought her a new RV despite her having mortgage and 4 cars because, in her own words, it's always been her dream that we go camping as a family. He also paid for her credit card debt and bought a $2,000 couch when it almost was paid off by my husband. She also used the same credit card that my husband is paying off to have a vacation to Canada. She believes that because she is his mother who birthed him and now he quote-unquote owes her. It got so bad that he still had a curfew at 22, despite paying almost all the bills in the house. We missed out on so many things because he had to be home at a certain time. So when we announced that my husband and I were getting married, she disapproved because she knows she's no longer able to emotionally manipulate him if he doesn't live with her in the home. The day before our wedding, he tried to convince her again and she said no. He still went on with our wedding and we got our own place away from both parents. When we got married, I explained to him how he's being emotionally manipulated and he doesn't owe her for being born. He woke up and realized all the things he had done for her and told her he's no longer giving her money because he's got his own family now, and is still hurt that she didn't show up for our wedding. She subtly blames me because she had to get a second job to pay for the things my husband would usually pay for, and that my husband would never visit her. He also had panic attacks because he would get yelled at for staying late at work past his curfew. We are both in a great state mentally now, despite the fact that his mom still tries to stir drama. He gives her money here and there when she really needs it, but that's about it. Edit. Oh wow, thank you guys for the kind words. Sadly, this post is not the craziest thing she has done, and because of the subreddits posted below, I was introduced to more communities that have lived the same fate. I'll be writing more horror stories of Entitled Mother in different subreddits. Thank you guys for reading. And our next story was posted by user ScrewItKids69, titled, Entitled Parent Tries to Take My Dog at the Dog Park. The cast are Entitled Parent, Entitled Kid, and Handsome Man, me. So this all happened like 3 months ago. My dog is a golden retriever, so she loves people and exploring. So anyway, my dog doesn't get out a lot, so when she does, she goes wild. I finally got to the dog park, and when I arrived, I walked in and let her off the leash. The second I did that, she bolted out and away. The park has a 2-fence system, so dogs can't run straight out. So anyway, after like 15 minutes of watching her run around with other dogs, up comes Entitled Mother with Entitled Kid. I'm sitting at a table watching the dogs play with a couple other pet owners when Entitled Mother walked up to my dog and puts a leash on her. In my head I was saying to myself, please no, please no, please no. I tried to stay positive by thinking that my dog was irritating hers, but I quickly found out that that was not the case. As Entitled Mother starts to walk to the fences with Entitled Kid, I block her path. She replies with, can I help you? I'm trying to leave with my dog. Outraged that I was being downright lied to, I tried to take the leash off my dog's collar. The woman replies with, excuse me? I'm trying to leave with my dog and you're stealing him. For your information, my dog's a female and she's mine, is how I reply. The crazy woman starts shouting and screaming that I'm stealing her dog and for someone to call the police. But the people that I was sitting with knew that she was mine, so we spent 15 minutes talking. They walk over and suggest that we call the police to try and clear this up. So after one of my newfound friends call the police, they arrive within like 5 minutes. And they say, excuse me, can we clear something up here? Yes, so I didn't get to finish before Entitled Mother cut me off. I was at the dog park and this crazy person tried to take my dog. The others try to help me out by arguing that they know she was mine. Then I suggest a bright idea, that we check the tag on her collar and call the phone number. The policeman agrees and leans down next to my dog. He calls the number of his phone and look at that, my phone rings, and I answer the call from the policeman. The lady was asked to leave the park because she didn't own a dog and was here for no reason. She tries to fight but ends up leaving. Long story short, I go to the dog park and a woman tries to take my dog, we call the police and the dog is proven mine. And our last story was posted by a user. Parents asked me to shave beard and avoid the sun so I didn't look like an African. I'm male, 18 and from Spain, and just came to live alone in the UK and get my university degree. Obviously, as anyone would suppose, my parents had some concerns about it. Normal human concerns that you'd have if your son went to live alone into another country with a different language and so young. What I did not expect was what I said in the title. They formally asked me to shave my beard and to avoid the sun during the summer so I didn't look African when I came to the UK. Their justification was that them Brits are very racist, first impressions are very important if you want to make friends, and we want you to be happy and to socialize. I understand their concern with social interaction because I am a bit of an introvert and only hang out with the same 5 people back at home, but I think their request is just comically stupid and ironically racist to both Africans and Brits. I asked them if they were serious plenty of times, and they still have the same take. Nonetheless, I could get away with my beard intact, and I promise that these guys are not evil or controlling at all. They can just get weird sometimes. I just wanted to share this funny experience, even though it's not the level of entitlement that you see on this subreddit. Have a nice day. Alright, and that's the end of the episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed that one. Tell me what you guys are up to today. I'd love to hear. I'm going to be reading some Just No Mother-in-Law subreddit soon and Pro Revenge. I had fun recording this one today. If there's anything you liked, be sure to tell me in the comments what you think of these stories. Anything at all. And yeah, hope you have a good day, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.